Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Lagilia, and on this episode of Not Your Average Joe, we're talking with Dan Rayas, president of Tribute to the Troops, Illinois chapter. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Joe, powered by Mortgage Message. My name is Joe Lagilia, and today I'm joined with Dan Rayas of Tribute to the Troops, Illinois chapter. Dan, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So excited to have you on just to kind of talk about why you were nominated and why you're here. And I guess before we get started, we'd love for you to just kind of tell our audience who you are and what you're all about.
Dan Rayas. I'm Army veteran, and I run the Illinois chapter for Tribute to the Troops that dedicates their time to Gold Star families.
Love it, love it. And I think where I want to kind of get started with this interview is how you got here, how you got in the hot seat here at Not Your Average Joe. But our dear friend, Jamie Littell of Mojo's, who was a former guest of ours here on the show, she nominated you. Your story's pretty amazing. So I think maybe just to kind of give the connection to Mojo's, kind of tell us about how that relationship started, a little bit of a handyman status I heard, and kind of go from there.
So when Mojo's first opened up, my dad started helping them with AC work. They were having some AC issues, and it just kind of worked out. And ever since then, they couldn't get rid of me or my dad. So
love it.
My dad recently retired and is on the road with my stepmom, and they're living the retirement RV life, which looks awesome.
So
I'm
awesome.
jealous. So I guess I kind of took over on, I was volunteered for it. So I just help them where I can.
Awesome. And I know so much of the pandemic affected many of us, especially those connected to in the industries that were affected most, like the restaurant industry. Kind of speak about what kind of cool new discoveries happened for you during that time, and what that helped create for you.
So during the pandemic, it wasn't really related to the pandemic, but I lost my job because of some health issues I came back from the military with. Been dealing with them for years, and long story short, it just didn't work out. Mm-hmm. So instead of finding a new job, I was doing side work with a small company that me and my friend started, and I decided to just dive right into it and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and the name of that company is?
SDD Customs, which stands for Squirrely and Dirty Dan's Customs. It was a nickname. It started as a joke. It stuck, and now there it is.
The best ideas come from nicknames. I love it. And I know so much of the work that people get to see when they go to Mojo's. You had your hand on that, and a really cool Facebook page we were talking about before the interview. Everyone can go check out SDD Customs Facebook. I want to talk a little bit about this amazing mission that you have as president of Tribute for the Troops here in Illinois. I guess just kind of start where that connection for you happened. Where did that get started?
So how I eventually became a part of it was originally my mom ran a charity called Wounded Heroes Foundation, which helped people coming back injured in the hospitals. We made care packages for them. That charity built houses for disabled veterans and their families. And just even small things, like if people were coming back with a lot of burns, we made sure they got special razors, because a single blade razor we don't even like. Well, if you have third degree burns all over your face, you really don't like it. So, and stuff like that, little things that they couldn't get or needed because of their injuries. And then we would also go to Walter Reed and Bethesda, which is in D.C., and other VA hospitals around the U.S., and deliver care packages in person. So it wasn't mailed there and someone just handed it to them, that they see every day. It was someone completely they've never met before. And I think it just kind of it pushed that initiative of, you're dealing with all this stuff. This is horrible, but no one's ignoring you. Mm-hmm. We're not going to just be like, okay, they'll take care of them. They'll be fine. That's not, it's not reality either. So,
yeah.
So we made it a point to go to these hospitals in person a lot of times, which kind of sucked me into it. And then one of the original founder of Tribute to the Troops, Rocky Lynn, was playing a concert at Walter Reed for injured vets that were there. And one of the leadership in Wounded Heroes Foundation linked up with him, went to Minnesota and saw what he was doing with Tribute, going to Gold Star families' houses. And we went and he decided that we should start an Illinois chapter. So himself. So Skip, Dave Miles, and myself kind of helped get the Illinois chapter going, and it started out as a really good success. Had great turnouts for families and visits. Then I left for the Army for a little bit. When I came back, they said my friend Skip asked me to come to a board meeting, wanted to know if I wanted to be part of it again, and I was like, sure. Kind of figured showing up to a board meeting, I was going to get like a merchandise spot or some little spot. And then he threw out a notion that he said he was stepping down, and he, volunteered me to be the president. And everybody kind of looked at me, and I had the deer in the headlight look, I'm sure. And then they all raised their hand and said approved. I went, well.
It's good to know that many service organizations find their presidents this way. Continue.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
And so in the first year was definitely a learning curve. I never was the in charge person, and also coming back and not being a part of it for a couple of years, and then kind of coming back, full steam ahead. I was the duck. I was trying to stay calm, but my feet were kicking. So, and then I had my own medical issues too when I came back from the military. So the first year was kind of rough, but then after that, it started working out pretty well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just amazing, and I think first off, I am so grateful for your ability to share that part of your story where, you may not have all the pieces together, you may not have everything ready, but you know that there's a need to serve, and you walked forward into that. And I think that's a great message for our audience of people who are out there thinking of different causes they can be a part of, and not wanting to wait until it's all the right timing to do it. So thank you for sharing that. I want to kind of get into the details as far as when you talk about Tribute to the Troops. Share, if you can, about just exactly what you guys are doing for these families, and kind of the impact that you've had.
So I feel like everybody can relate or have heard the terminology like never forget or never forgotten. You can say it enough times, but until you show someone that you actually haven't, it can seem like it falls on deaf ears. Not, well, I guess that's like poor phrasing, but if you're not being shown that, but you're living the fact that you lost someone in the service, and no one ever says anything except never forget on Facebook, or puts something on their photo or whatever, it's a great notion, not against it, but we decided that it should be a little farther forward, and we should be face to face. So we reach out to the families, and we find out about their loved one that they lost. It could be a son, daughter, husband, wife. And sorry, it gets a little hard. So
it's okay.
We reach out to them. We find out about their loved one, and they tell us their story. We reach out to people that they may know. We do a lot of research, finding, like, I like to look at obituaries and find quotes, because people leave something that really meant, at the time of a death, your emotions come out. So what you say usually is right down to the heart. And we gather a bunch of people together. It's mainly a motorcycle group, but we have people that don't ride motorcycles that want to be a part of it, because my perspective is the more people there for the family, the better. I'm not going to tell someone that doesn't ride a motorcycle they can't pay respects to a Gold Star family. So it's not, everybody's welcome. So once we do the research and we come up with the presentation, and it's not really a speech. I carry notes with me just to kind of review maybe before, because I'm bad with dates. And when I have to memorize like a bunch of dates for one day, I don't want to mix them up. So I usually review that kind of stuff. But otherwise, it's more of you learn about the person. So then you can just kind of speak from the heart as you're presenting this family to a large group of people. And then after the presentation's done, and all these people have learned about this person and learned about the family, they get to line up and one by one, pay their own respects to the family, hugs, handshakes, tears, all sorts of stuff. And it's a mixture of other Gold Star families in the group, along with veterans and just regular people that just want to be part of it.
Yeah, we've had many veterans that have been on this show. So much of our attention is there because we feel that we're here to serve those who have served us. And when I hear a veteran such as yourself speak with such passion about wanting to make sure that those families know that their loved one isn't forgotten. It's really powerful. And I guess I'd just like to ask you, in your journey through this mission, is there any, and I know they all stand out, is there any story that you can share that just kind of really stays with you as far as an experience? Maybe it's the first one, or maybe it's one along the way that you can kind of touch on a little bit.
The first family we ever visited actually was the Torres family, and I've become friends with them ever since. His brother Rode, he's also a detective in the CPD, so he does his own level of service too. And he joined after we visited his family. He jumped on his bike and joined, and he's been part of it. And situations like that where a family afterwards becomes part of the organization, or is always wanting to be part of it, or give back, or join on rides and visit other families. I think that's a testament to what it means, because if it meant that much to them that they want to also project that, or show other families what that is, I don't know how much better you can do.
Yeah, it's beautiful. When you talk about, obviously, the volunteerism side of it, and the giving of your time and the giving of your heart, to be able to be there for these families and to let them know they're not forgotten and their loved one isn't forgotten. There's obviously, with any type of organization, there's fundraising efforts. Is there anything that you guys have that we can lift up in the community, or is there any need? What does that look like from a fundraising side that people can hear this interview, get excited about, to want to support you?
So the fundraising we do really doesn't go to too much of the logistics. There's not a lot of overhead. We dedicate all that money to go to education funds for the children of the fallen. Mm-hmm. So anybody that died in service, had kids that are now going to go to college and stuff, help them carry on their legacy, help them show what they can do, because their family obviously has what it takes. Yeah. And then we've also had some situations where a child has gotten really sick, and we turn that education fund into a medical fund, because there's priorities.
Yeah.
So it's not like a strict, stringent kind of thing, but it definitely helps push them forward. And a lot of times, some of these families are now single parent homes, so education, college funds kind of take the back seat. So if we can help that with books, tuition, or anything like that, and then also point them in the direction of where they can get grants, because there are colleges and organizations that do grants for the tuition and can help them there. So it's a mixture.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's great, and I know someone's watching this that is saying, hey, how can I support this in that way? And so thank you for sharing that. We have the spring and summer upon us. I just would love to know, just from the schedule for the Tribute to the Troops, do you guys have any rides coming up?
We do. We have one on June 12th, 11th and 12th. I keep on saying 12th and 13th. 11th and 12th, and it'll be in like the southern Illinois area. We're only going to do the one ride this year. It's a 2-day ride, but we'll only be doing the one this year, just because everything with the pandemic kind of put everything on hold. So twofold, to help us kind of get our wheels back going, and us get back in the groove, along with other people kind of getting maybe that comfort back in there, because I hope that the summer's great and everybody's back to normal, but we all kind of know that's, who knows.
Right, absolutely. Well, and I think that's great. I mean, and again, I'll say that someone watching who's either a rider, or, as you mentioned, just someone that wants to lift up a Gold Star family and be a part of this, after hearing this interview, what would be a couple of ways that they can either connect with you online or offline?
So if you look up tributetothetroops.org, you'll find our main national website. All the chapter websites are on there. There's ways to contact any chapter or the national board. There's also a donation page through PayPal. You can dedicate the money to the national board, which goes anywhere, or to the chapters themselves, and then they focus on the families in that state,
that location. Wonderful. Dan, you were nominated to be a part of this local community show because you are viewed as a real community hero. I know after our audience sees this, and your humble spirit is what confirms it for us. But I know that people watching this, the point is to get your story out there, and we so appreciate you sharing it with us. I want to ask you in closing, because you're a hero to so many, who is your hero?
Ooh, that's a rough one. I have a lot of people I look up to, obviously, my parents and some of my friends. I've lost a couple friends in the service too, and in a way, they're I have them tattooed on me, and I have a little memorial at home with their faces, and so yeah, I figured the people that put it all online. So
Amen. Well, Dan, thank you for your service, and thank you for being a part of this show, and God bless our troops. Thank you so much for being here.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you to our audience for joining us for another episode of Not Your Average Joe, powered by Mortgage Message. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.